Alright guys, welcome to break 206. Dad's right there, he's going to get stuck into the starters and get them open for us, make it a little bit quicker to get through them. Our second 23 traders break. Wasn't bad to start off with yesterday, so let's see how we can go today. We're lucky enough to score a Legends signature in our first break. It's only the second one we've found overall, so that was pretty special. Our team list for today: Broncos, Michael Duff; Raiders, Gareth Lawson; Bulldogs, Kane Holgate; Sharks, Scott Primo; Titans, Lee Marshall, our lucky Raz winner from this morning; Manly, Matt Winter; Storm, Luke Hodder; Knights, Troy Page; Cowboys, Damien Ahern; Eels, Dean Ryan; Panthers, Robert Kelly; Rabbitohs, James Lanigan; Dragons, Roger Cito; Roosters, John Duffy; Warriors, Rachel Whiteside; and Tigers, Matt Goodall. Alright, let's go. So we'll go through these and get our club heroes out first. First up, number 7 for the Roosters, John Duffy. Club hero gold, Joseph Suwali. I just realised how far over the camera is today. That's alright. Club hero bronze, number 92, Ben Hunt for the Dragons, Roger Cito. Club hero bronze, number 122, Otessa Pulley for the Roosters. Club hero silver, number 23, Mr. Dylan Edwards for the Panthers, Robert Kelly. So this is a pick your team break, so everyone should know what teams they have. Rachel and Lee were lucky enough in the Razzes to score their own team. Number 64, Club Hero Bronze, Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Club Hero Gold, number 31, Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels. Club Hero Bronze, number 22, Payne Huss for the Broncos. We did open the video yesterday with the album and base cards for anyone that wanted to check that out. Club Hero Gold for the Rabbitohs, Tavita Totola, number 27. For the Roosters, again, number 21, Club Hero Bronze, Otessa Poole. Club Hero Bronze, number 123 for the Raiders, Joseph Tapine. Club Hero Silver, number 30, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. As we're getting started, guys, do not forget to get your tips in. First round tonight, free tipping competition. First round for the year, for your chance to win the $50 voucher. Club Hero Silver, number 41, Kennedy Sherrington. For anyone that hasn't joined the free tipping competition, the information is on Facebook. It's on the FAQ page on the website and in the last few emails that we've been sending out, guys. So if you want to join, you can find the information in multiple places. It's free to join, and you give yourself a chance to win a $50 gift card each round. So Shannon Mato, number 40, Club Hero Bronze. There's really no reason not to join the free one. We have also introduced the new tipping our new tip competition. It's $50 entry, and the prizes are all split up between first, second, and third. Club Hero Bronze, number 55, Lachlan Elias for the Rabbitohs. Club Hero Bronze, number 49, is Jesse Southwell for the Knights. Club Hero Bronze, number 31, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Second last starter packet, number 31 for the Broncos, Club Hero Silver, Jasmine Fogavini. Last starter packet, Club Hero Silver, number 66, Lachlan Miller for the Sharks. We've got one Titans hit so far, but we've only just gone through the starter packets, so plenty to go. And what did we get? A Shannon Mato Bronze Club Hero. Alright, Valentine Holmes parallel for the Cowboys. Bobby Law, Women's NRL for the Knights. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. We do have multiple breaks listed at the moment, guys. We've got a random team for anyone that's been struggling to get their team. We also have break 209 with 4 spots left last I checked, and break 210. Dean Mariner, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Toby Sexton, parallel for the Titans. It may be 208 to pick your team with 4 spots. 209 is the random team, I think. Season to remember for the Titans. But if you check the website out, you can see all the currently listed breaks. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. We'll be doing the pre-sale giveaway tonight, guys, as well as giveaway number 11. So one more to go. After that, driving force Clint Gutherson for the Eels. Jaden Campbell, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Hayes Perham for the Eels. Fanua Blake, Pole, sorry, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Aaron Booth for the Titans. Cowboys, parallel checklist. Dolphins, number 9. And Cal Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Driving Force, Damien Cook for the Rabbitohs. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Addo Carr for the Bulldogs. Philip Semi, parallel for the Titans. Club Heroes, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Brian Madison, parallel for the Eels. Not playing tonight, Maddo. Is he?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't. There you go. Sean Russell, Rising Stars for the Eels. Fanua Pole, parallel for the Tigers. Was that in the pre-season matches?
No, it's last year. I can't remember what happened there. We got done for this year.
Okay. Driving Force, Jack DeBellin for the Dragons.
Remember the grand final, we did something like that. I can't remember.
Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers.
Ask the question on there, one of them.
Oh, I'm waiting for someone to jump in, don't worry. Forwards and backs, parallel is Zach Lomax for the Dragons. Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for the Cowboys. You've got another Titans break. No worries, buddy. Griffin Neem, Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. As you know, we'll post pictures of the team hits and you can always watch the replay. Watching the replay isn't such a bad idea because you can always speed up the replay speed.
Just remember you're watching the replay, don't talk to me.
Yeah, just don't do a Jared Rees to me and get upset with me because I'm not replying when you're commenting on replays. Harry Grant, forwards and backs for the Storm.
Is he on?
No, I don't. If he is, he hasn't commented. Liam Martin for Panthers. Lee Marshall's the only one keeping me company. We've got a few viewers.
Everyone's probably got stuff today, so they're busy busting themselves.
Either that or at work. You know, a few viewers will put it on their phone and watch. Lindsay Smith, Rising Stars for the Panthers. Joey Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Fletcher Baker for the Roosters. Cameron Munster, parallel for the Storm. Power Heroes, Patrick Carrigan for Broncos. Sharks parallel checklist. And depending on the size of the other one, Lee, we may still be here. Alex 12 parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. I'll try, buddy. Season to remember, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Sharks, parallel checklist. Jared Herrera Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Curtis Morin, Rising Stars for the Bulldogs. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Forwards and backs, parallel, Lindsay Collins for the Roosters. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Terrell May, Rising Stars. I don't know if that's right. Terrell or Tyrone, I don't know. Rising Stars for the Roosters. Cameron Munster, parallel for the Storm. Driving Force, Emma Tony Gutto for the Dragons. Philip Semi, parallel for the Titans. Forwards and backs, Jason Saab for Manly. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Jake Clifford for the Knights. Billy Walters, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Kiwi Weeks for Manly. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Jacob Kiraz for the Bulldogs. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Beau Formore. Season to remember, sorry, for the Titans. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. It's going to grab a box. Just got a bit of pain. Leo Thompson, Rising Stars for Knights. Dane Gagai, parallel for the Knights. Retirements, Josh Maguire for the Dragons. Jaden Campbell, parallel for the Titans. Forwards and backs, Ryan Madison for the Eels. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. Anari Tuwala, parallel for the Knights. So remember, these are hobby starter packs, getting the club hero as a bonus card. Hobby starter packs, but they are retail packets in the hobby starter packs. Sonny Luke, Rising Stars for the Panthers. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. Warriors parallel checklist. First Warriors hit for the break. Power Heroes, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Anari Tuwala, parallel for the Knights. Driving Force, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Dolphins number 5. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Women's NRL, Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Excuse me, guys. Rising Stars, Junior Tupou for the Tigers. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Austin Diaz, Rising Stars for the Tigers. And Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Driving Force, Alex Twal for the Tigers. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Women's NRL, Amy Turner for the Broncos. Jared Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL, Rachel Pearson for the Dragons. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbits. Women's NRL, Sarah Tagatuki for the Roosters. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Driving Force, Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels. All of a sudden got a really dry throat. Brian Toto for the Panthers. We got that yesterday too. Not used to breaking. Give me a second. Not that I think these will help. This is the only thing I've got right this second. Whoa. Lauren Brown, Women's NRL for the Titans. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Oh. Our heroes, Nicholas Hines for the Sharks. Cameron McInnes, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Michael Molo for the Dragons. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Oh, really sorry for the coughing, guys. Christian Pio, Women's NRL for the Eels. Xavier Coates, parallel for the Storm. And that is the end of the starter packs. Alright, let's open this case up. Find out our lucky case card for today. Mr. Robert Kelly with the Panthers, number 34. That's our case card for today, guys. We'll just quickly get these out of here. Get rid of this big box. Alright, let's go. So we'll do our priority at the end, which we've been doing it like that for quite a while now. And let's get stuck into our hobby boxes, titanium boxes, as they're now called. No worries, Lee. Good luck in the other break, buddy, and good luck for this one. Hopefully we have something better for you when you come back. Season to remember, Edward Cossey for the Warriors. Sharks parallel checklist. Retirements, David Mead for the Broncos. Raiders parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Kale Iro for the Sharks. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Power Heroes, Stephen Crichton for Panthers. Broncos parallel checklist. Women's NRL, Jamie Chapman for the Broncos. Dylan Edwards, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Cleese Huss for the Titans. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. So I may get a couple of cards in the wrong slots today, guys. With the backup tray, so I got no stickers. Jack DeBellin, driving force for the Dragons. Jared Hargreaves, parallel for the Roosters. And let me tell you, even with the stickers, I still managed to get them in the wrong slots. But no fear, I will find them when I sort the cards out at the end for the photos. Samaima Taufa, women's NRL for the Eels. Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. Power Heroes Group A, so that'll be randomised between Broncos, Raiders, Bulldogs, Sharks, Titans, Manly, Storm and Knights. Tony Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Women's NRL, Stephanie Hancock for the Titans. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Driving force, James Tedesco for the Roosters. And Belly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Club Heroes, Tyron Wishart for the Storm. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Big Tino, parallel for the Titans. Forwards and backs, Ronaldo Mulatalo for the Sharks. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Jamin Salmon, Rising Stars for the Panthers. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Alec McDonald, Rising Stars for the Storm. Panthers parallel checklist. Driving force, Alex Twal for the Tigers. Valentine Holmes, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Isabel Kelly for the Roosters. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Ronald Volkman for the Warriors. Sifa Talakai for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Jacob Arthur for the Eels. Noah Pole, parallel for the Tigers. Bulldogs, Tavita Pengai Jr., parallel. Yep, just chucked there, thank you, Hitch. Women's NRL, Tamika Upton for the Knights. Jack DeBellin, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Christian Mapapalangi for the Knights. I have no idea if that's close or not. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. Forwards and backs, Joseph Tapine for the Raiders. Philip Semi, parallel for the Titans. Women's NRL, Quincy Dodd for the Dragons. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Driving Force, Hannah Southwell for the Knights. Roosters, parallel checklist. Driving Force team for the Panthers. Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Season to remember, Nat Butcher for the Roosters. Corey Horsburgh, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Ben Thomas for the Roosters. Cameron Munster, parallel for Storm. Isaac Thompson, Rising Stars for the Rabbitohs. Jaden Sewer, parallel for Dragons. Reece Robson, season to remember for the Cowboys. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for Knights. Gold parallel for the Panthers, Isaiah Yeo, number 70. 72 of each card for the gold parallels. Keelan Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Zach Wolford for the Raiders. Adam Pompey, parallel for the Warriors. 2 packs left for our first box. So we've done the mini starter case, and now we're into our first box of titanium. Ryan Madison, forwards and backs for the Eels. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Dolphins, number 4. Anari Tuala, parallel for the Knights. Box number 2. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. Starling Latin Zalesniak, parallel for the Warriors. Jacob Carraz, Rising Stars for the Bulldogs. Morgan Harper, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Beau Formore for the Titans. Tigers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Fletcher Baker for the Roosters. Harry Grant, parallel for Storm. Scoring machines. Number 10. Who we got? John Duffy with the Roosters. Number 10. Milwaukee Fodawaka, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, KO Weeks for Manly. Sean Lane, parallel for the Eels. Season to remember, Jake Clifford for the Knights. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Broncos. Driving Force, Jemima Torfa for Eels. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Aaron Booth for the Titans. Murray Talagi, parallel for the Cowboys. Our Heroes, Ruben Garrick for Manly. Parallel, Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Women's NRL, Julia Robinson. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Austin Diaz for the Tigers. Corey Waddell, parallel for the Bulldogs. Driving Force, Nico Hines for the Sharks. Dragons parallel checklist. Tamora Breeley Natty, Women's NRL for the Titans. Josh Alloway, parallel for Manly. Dolphins number 6. Brent Naden, parallel for the Tigers. Regan Campbell-Gillard, Power Heroes for the Eels. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Michael Molo for the Dragons. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Driving Force, Chad Townsend for the Cowboys. Aaron Shoup, parallel for the Bulldogs. Alright, at this point we are halfway through the second box, guys. Alright, let's go. Tolator Koala, Club Heroes for Manly. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. It's funny at my local coffee shop, that's their motivational thing they say regularly. Let's go! You'll hear a random one pipe up and say it every minute or so. Jack DeBellin, forwards and backs for the Dragons. Moses Sulai, parallel for the Dragons. Turned around and said to one of them one morning, shouldn't it be let's trot? Let's go's old. Let's trot. Leo Thompson, Rising Stars for the Knights. Knights parallel checklist. Sonny Luke, Rising Stars for Panthers. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Jason Taumalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Millie Boyle for the Knights. Manly parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Sean Russell for the Eels. Jackson Hastings, parallel for the Tigers. Forwards and backs, Jason Saab for Manly. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Women's NRL, Olivia Koenig for the Roosters. Adam Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Griffin Neem, Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Kirby Farnworth, parallel for the Broncos. Driving Force, Angus Crichton for Roosters. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for the Panthers. Season to remember, Addo Carr for the Bulldogs. Beau Fulmore, parallel for the Titans. Hudson Young, gold parallel for the Raiders. Number 49. Bailey Simonson, parallel for the Eels. Driving Force team for the Knights. Ruben Cotter, parallel for the Cowboys. Forwards and backs, Ryan Madison for the Eels. Jack Whiten, parallel for the Raiders. Women's NRL, Paige McGregor for the Dragons. Cameron Murray, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Women's NRL Tiana Penatani for the Eels. Justin Olam parallel for Storm. Last pack for box number 2. Rising Stars, Dean Marina for the Broncos, and Titans parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Fletcher Baker for the Roosters. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. Driving Force, Clint Gufferson for the Eels. Isaiah Yeo, parallel for Panthers. Tess Staines, Women's NRL for the Eels. Harry Grant, parallel for Storm. Power Heroes, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Blake Brayley, parallel for the Sharks. NRL Group B, Power Heroes. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. So obviously the Group B's randomised between Cowboys, Eagles, Panthers, Rabbitohs, Dragons, Roosters, Warriors and Tigers, which is the 8 teams featured on the front of the card. Shanae Sia-Solkar, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Victor Radley, parallel for Roosters. Rising Stars, Michael Molo for the Dragons. Daniel Tupou, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Aaron Booth for Titans. Ruben Cotter, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Evania Palite for the Titans. Morgan Harper, parallel for the Manly. Dolphins number 10. Tigers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Austin Diaz for the Tigers. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Driving Force, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Zach Lomax parallel for Dragons. Club Heroes, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Kalen Ponga parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Sonny Luke for Panthers. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Forwards and backs, Adam Pompey for the Warriors. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Leo Thompson for the Knights. Daniel Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Milwaukee Fodawaika, parallel for the Titans. Halfway through box number 3. Driving Force, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Corey Waddell, parallel for Bulldogs. Women's NRL, Shania Power for the Roosters. Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Griffin Neem for the Cowboys. Selwyn Cobbo, parallel for Broncos. Forwards and backs, Dominic Young for the Knights. Hudson Young, parallel for the Raiders. Women's NRL, Talia Fui Maono for the Dragons. Damien Cook, parallel for the Rabbits. Cowboys parallel checklist. Women's NRL, Olivia Higgins for the Knights. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Sean Russell, Rising Stars for the Eels. Alex Twal, parallel for the Tigers. Driving Force, Emma Tonigato for the Dragons. Stephen Crichton, parallel for Panthers. Driving Force team for the Cowboys. Jason Tormalolo, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. Haddon Fanua Blake, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Manly, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Sean Johnson for the Warriors. Toby Sexton, parallel for Titans. Season to remember, Jack Whiten for the Raiders. Jackson Hastings, parallel for the Tigers. Ryan Pappenhausen, season to remember for the Storm. Herbie Farnworth, parallel for Broncos. Retirements, Corey Thompson for the Titans. Go 4 more, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, KO Weeks for Manly. Bailey Simonson, parallel for the Eels. Gold parallel, Sharks checklist, number 64. Pink Jefferson, parallel for the Eels. Forwards and backs, Justin Olam for the Storm. And Dragons parallel checklist. Alright, so what are we up to? Box number 5, no, 4. Oh. Forwards and backs, Joe Offengawi for the Tigers. Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Women's NRL, Tegan Berry for the Dragons. Chad Townsend, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Curtis Morin for the Bulldogs. Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Jaden Hunt for the Dragons. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL, Emily Bass for the Broncos. Raiders, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Valami Kickout for the Panthers. Stefano Utakamanu, parallel for the Tigers. Dolphins number 2. Renato Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. Racine McGregor, parallel for the Women's NRL for the Roosters. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Hayes Perham for the Eels. Asua Kapoa, parallel for Tigers. Driving force, Jordan Rapana for the Raiders. Dave Fafita, parallel for the Titans. Driving force team for the Broncos. Eels parallel checklist. Season to remember, Luke Brooks for the Tigers. Yep. Joseph Sawali parallel for the Roosters. Gold parallel, Lachlan Croker for Manly. G'day, buddy. Number 56. Max King, parallel for the Bulldogs. Yes, yes. Have you got your tips in? Rising Stars, Terrell May for the Roosters. Josh King, parallel for the Storm. Season to remember, Zach Lomax for the Dragons. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Tolutor Koala for Manly Rising Stars. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Authentics Initials, Emma Tonigato for the Dragons, number 53. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Women's NRL Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Our Heroes Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Dominic Young, parallel for Knights. Rising Stars, Isaiah Tass for the Rabbitohs. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Our Heroes, Zach Lomax for the Dragons. David Clemmer, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Lindsay Smith for the Panthers. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Raiders. Driving force, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Forwards and backs, Max King for the Bulldogs. Edward Cossey, parallel for the Warriors. Women's NRL Georgia Hale for the Titans. Storm parallel checklist. Rising Stars Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Payne Huss parallel for the Broncos. Hannah Southwell, Women's NRL for the Knights. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Kay Dykes for the Sharks. Alex Johnston, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Sorry, I was watching the video to see where the video is up to. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Driving Force, Isaac Liu for the Titans. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Club Heroes, Georgia Hale for the Titans. Kurt Capewell, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Tyron Wisher for the Storm. Jerome Luai, parallel for the Panthers. Rising Stars, Tanila Otukolo for the Warriors. Nicholas Hines, parallel for the Sharks. They scored a 1 of 300 from a starter pack, a mate packed. Perhaps 1 of 300. Of the 300s, the Power Heroes. So I don't think Club Heroes are out of that. Forwards and backs, Reese Robson for the Cowboys. Scott Drinkwater. Yeah, but 1 of 300. Is that a Power Heroes parallel? Yeah. Justin Olam, Driving Force for the Storm. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. Don't get me wrong, number 1, perhaps anything. Well, you're onto a good thing. I was just curious. Junior Tupou, Rising Stars for the Tigers. Addo parallel for the Bulldogs. And that finishes off box number 4. So mate pulled that. We got news over stock. Whereabouts is he from? Rising Stars, a Jaden Hunt for the Dragons. Angus Crichton parallel for the Roosters. Keezy Apps, Women's NRL for the Dragons. Scott Drinkwater parallel for the Cowboys. Our Heroes, a Jack Whiten for the Raiders. Knights parallel checklist. Taryn Aiken, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Jack Whiten parallel for the Raiders. How did you go with your box? You've opened the box now, haven't you? Rising Stars, Curtis Morin for the Bulldogs. Jake Trbojevic parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Azua Asukapoa parallel for the Tigers. Dolphins number 3. William Kennedy parallel for the Sharks. Driving force, Jared Hargraves for the Roosters. David Fafita parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Tolator Koala. I've got to focus on try and figure out how that's said. Eels parallel checklist. Oh, yeah. Sean Lane parallel for the Eels. I thought, in all honesty, most collectors would be trying to get the Dolphins set, just being the first Dolphins cards and everything. I mean, the redemption cards look nice, so hopefully the cards themselves look half as good. Chelsea Leonard-Doozy, driving force for the Broncos. Titans parallel checklist. Driving force team for the Bulldogs. Mitchell Moses parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Terrell May for the Roosters. Jerome Hughes parallel for the Storm. Season to remember, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Oh, Nico Hines parallel for the Sharks. Season to remember, Ray Stone for the Eels. Joey Manu parallel for the Roosters. Gold parallel for the Knights, Daniel Saifiti, number 44. Aaron Shoop, parallel for the Bulldogs. Pretty sure he's at the Titans now. Mr. Shoop. Philomena Hennessy, women's NRL for the Eels. Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Halfway through box number 5. Fair enough. I haven't actually seen the Dolphins predictor yet. Hayes Perham, Rising Stars for the Eels. Surely that'll go in a share, Jeff. Brent Naden, parallel for the Tigers. Takahau, retirement for the Roosters. Joseph Suwali, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Junior Tupou for the Tigers. Max King, parallel for the Bulldogs. Power Heroes, Bradman Best for the Knights. David Clemmer, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Lindsay Smith for the Panthers. Raiders parallel checklist. Driving Force, Adale Finucane for the Sharks. Alex Johnston parallel for the Rabbitohs. Women's NRL, Madison Bartlett for the Titans. Josh King parallel for Storm. Rising Stars, Isaiah Tass for the Rabbitohs. Moses Sulai parallel for the Dragons. Forwards and backs, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Tohu Harris parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Kurt Capewell parallel for the Broncos. Forwards and backs, Harry Grant for the Storm. Jerome Luai parallel for Panthers. Rising Stars, Cade Dykes for the Sharks. Cameron Murray parallel for the Rabbits. Autumn Rain, Women's NRL for the Knights. Justin Olam parallel for the Storm. Driving Force, Josh Jackson for the Bulldogs. Dallin Watine Zalesniak parallel for the Warriors. 5 packets left for box number 5. Club Heroes, Valami Avile for the Warriors. Adam Reynolds, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Tyron Wishart for the Storm. James Fisher-Harris, parallel for the Panthers. Rising Stars, Tanila Otukolo for the Warriors. Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Jai Arrow, forwards and backs for the Rabbitohs. Nope. Murray Talagi, parallel for the Cowboys. And last packet for box number 5. Women's NRL, Samantha Bremner for the Roosters. Josh Alloway, parallel for Manly. Alright, box number 6, halfway through the case. Oh, well, we're up to box number 6. Anyway. Trent Peebles, Rising Stars for the Rabbitohs. Mikau Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Dane Gagai, parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Grant Anderson for the Storm. Brian Tyler, parallel for Panthers. Driving Force, Jacob Saifiti for the Knights. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. Jesse Calhoun, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Lauren Brown, Women's NRL for the Titans. Warriors parallel checklist. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbits. Driving Force team for the Titans. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbitohs. James Schiller, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Now you're a case and a half in. What's your take on this release? Good looking cards, but numbered hit wise going to be a nightmare to collect, even going. Well, actually, the numbers aren't as bad as what I thought they were when we first got the flyer and the checklist. I was expecting more cards to be numbered. But realistically, there's only an extra 1 or 2 numbered cards in the hobby release. And as far as my opinion on them, yes, overall I think it's awesome. There are a couple that I like more than others. So Sefa Fafita, Rising Stars for the Titans. Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for the Cowboys. Past releases, I thought the base cards were nicer than the parallels. I like the parallels more than the base cards in this release. So yeah, Christian Poe, Women's NRL for the Eels. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. And Jeff, as you probably know, I'm a few more cases than that into the release. We've been opening like crazy. Nicholas Hines, Power Heroes for the Sharks. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. So I managed to have a good look. The first ones that really stuck out to me were the season to remembers, and especially when you put them together as the three. Yeah, I think they look really good. Lindsay Collins, forwards and backs for the Roosters. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. I like the white forwards and backs. Wasn't sure at first which one I preferred, but now I've seen most of them, I prefer the white ones. Sarah Togatuki, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Simi Sasagi, Rising Stars for the Knights. Anari Tuala, parallel for the Knights. Tohu Harris, a driving force for the Warriors. And as far as being hard to collect, I think the hardest ones you'll have are actually the starter packs. I believe, anyway. Joey Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Season to remember, Latrell Mitchell for the Rabbitohs. Panthers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Selwyn Cobbo for the Broncos. Jaden Campbell, parallel for the Titans. A little thing that I think is really good that I didn't even think of until Dad said it yesterday, I think it was. The Power Heroes have got the teams on the front again instead of that logo they used last year for the header cards. It's just a little thing, but I think it's a big improvement. Declan Casey, Rising Stars for the Bulldogs. That's what they've done in previous years. I'm not sure why they changed it last year. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. They've definitely gone back the right way with them. So yeah, overall, as I've been saying, I think the release is quite nice. Driving force, Jocelyn Keller for the Roosters. Most of the SIGs I've seen and things like that, they've all been clean, no smudges. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. So all the little things that seem to go wrong with the release, most of that seems to be on par, like on track this year. Like, yeah. Forwards and backs, Renato Mulatalo for the Sharks. Xavier Coates, parallel for Storm. Number 14 for the Dolphins. Billy Walters, parallel for Broncos. Freddie Lussick, Rising Stars for the Warriors. I noticed our good friend Mr. Jared Ruiz was saying he felt a bit underwhelmed at his first look at the cards. He was hoping once he actually received his and had him in hand, he'd be a bit different. Karen McInnes for the Sharks, parallel, which he also said he does that pretty much every year, and I think he's been on every one of my first videos for each release, pretty much saying that exact same comment. And then you talk to him a week later and he's in love with it. He loves it. Brian Toto, forwards and backs for the Panthers. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. I'll see how I go after the next couple of breaks. Hopefully we'll break the Broncos. Hopefully, buddy. Rachel Pearson, Women's NRL for the Dragons. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Power Heroes, Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos. Fanua Pole, parallel for the Tigers. Bobby Law, Women's NRL for the Knights. Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Tom Chester for the Cowboys. Katoni Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. Max King, gold parallel for the Bulldogs. Number 18. Valentine Holmes, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Joseph Suwali for the Roosters. Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. Ryan James, retirement for the Broncos. Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Women's NRL, Amy Turner for the Broncos. Philip Sammy, parallel for Titans. Rising Stars, Zach Fulton for Manly. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Driving Force, Ben Hunt for the Dragons. I'll try and make sure I say something for you, buddy. No promises though. Cameron Munster, parallel for the Storm. Club Heroes, Jasmine Fogavini for the Broncos. Sharks parallel checklist. Oops. There we go. Well, that's the lottery, that's the one. Matthew Feagai, Rising Stars for the Dragons. Jared Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. And that's the end of box number 6. Let's go. I literally just got a paper cut from the box then. Not very deep, nothing to worry about, but yeah, a bit weird. First time that's happened. Be careful, sharp edges. Gold parallel, first up out of the box. Mr. Campbell Graham for the Rabbitohs, number 50. And Jeremiah Nanai, parallel for the Cowboys. Yeah, lucky it's not deep, no blood, doesn't sting, just felt weird. James Schiller, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Warriors parallel checklist. I definitely wasn't expecting it, that's for sure. Number 12, Dolphins. Selwyn Cobbo, parallel for the Broncos. Season to remember, Cameron Munster. Billy Walters, parallel for the Broncos. Forwards and backs, Jason Saab for Manly. Ryan Pappenhausen, parallel for the Storm. I'm more paranoid now, even though I know it's not deep enough, but it just feels weird and I feel like it's going to start bleeding. It's not, I promise. Not deep enough, I'm paranoid. Pretty classic Rising Stars with the Warriors. Jesse Ramian, parallel for the Sharks. Forwards and backs, Jack DeBellin for the Dragons. Victor Radley, parallel for the Roosters. Oh, everyone must be finished their lunch break. Emma Tonagato, Women's NRL for the Dragons. Bulldogs parallel checklist. Leave that. We'll go on to join Lee watching another break because we did have a few watching us for a little while and we're all of a sudden dropped off. Oh. Grant Anderson, Rising Stars for the Storm. Stephen Crichton, parallel for the Panthers. Power Heroes, Chad Townsend for the Cowboys. Adam Dewey, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Trent Peoples for the Rabbitohs. Zach Lomax, parallel for the Dragons. Season to remember, Clint Gufferson for the Eels. Kalen Ponga, parallel for the Knights. Driving Force, Taryn Aiken for the Broncos. Josh Papali, parallel for the Raiders. Matthew Feagai, Rising Stars for the Dragons. James Tedesco, parallel for the Roosters. Forwards and backs, Max King for the Bulldogs. Matt Burton, parallel for the Bulldogs. Destiny Brill, women's NRL for the Roosters. Mikhail Ravalawa, parallel for the Dragons. Simi Sasagi, Rising Stars for the Knights. And Dane Gagai, parallel for the Knights. Jesse Colquhoun, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Latrell Mitchell, parallel for the Rabbits. Just trying to tidy these up and get them out of my way. A couple more in. There we go. Alright. Let's go. Driving force, Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels. Elliot Whitehead, parallel for the Raiders. Driving force team for the Storm. Campbell Graham, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Season to remember, Josh Papali for the Raiders. And Liam Martin, parallel for Panthers. Women's NRL, Zara Canfield for the Titans. And Jazz Tavega, parallel for the Warriors. Our white signature, number 54, Michael Duff, Herbie Farnworth. Ryan Totter, parallel for the Panthers. Rising Stars, Sosefa Fafita for the Titans. Cowboys parallel checklist. Vanessa Follitt-Ike, women's NRL for the Eels. Jason Saab, parallel for Manly. Our heroes, Damien Cook for the Rabbitohs. Alex Twal, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Declan Casey for the Bulldogs. Lachlan Croker, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Selwyn Cobbo for the Broncos. Toby Sexton, parallel for the Titans. Josh Adokar, driving force for the Bulldogs. Clint Gutherson, parallel for the Eels. Harley Brigginshaw, women's NRL for the Broncos. Jaden Campbell, parallel for the Titans. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbits. Thought I seen something as I put them down. And it was only the parallel. I thought I'd better double check. Rising Stars, Zach Fulton for Manly. Junior Paulo, parallel for the Eels. Women's NRL, Caitlin Johnston for the Knights. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Driving force, Damien Cook for the Rabbitohs. Xavier Coates, parallel for Storm. 2 packets left for the box. Club Heroes for the Broncos, Payne Haas. Cameron McInnes, parallel for the Sharks. And last packet, for box number 7. Rising Stars, Tom Chester for the Cowboys. And Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. Tell Dad to get the jug on time for a coffee. Yeah, I'm almost there. But Dad's just taken off to the post office. So he won't be at the coffee duty. Jeff, I don't know, I must be starting to nod off or something. Jeff just piped up and said to tell him to put the coffee on, jug on. Time for a coffee. Pardon? Nothing? Nodding off or slowing down, I'm not sure which one. Christian Mapalangi, Rising Stars for the Knights. Chris Randall, parallel for the Knights. I didn't even notice that, that's the funny thing. I thought I was doing pretty well at the moment. I felt it earlier. Corey Oates, season to remember for the Broncos. I managed to push through it and it was all good. Matthew Tomoko, parallel for the Raiders. Jermaine Hughes, gold parallel for the Storm, number 24. Mum's good, Mum's got it. They must have seen you walk over and grab it. Or walk back anyway. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbits. Mum looks after me well. Season to remember, Cade Dykes for the Sharks. Bradman Best, parallel for the Knights. She still does clothes shopping for me when she goes out. How awesome is that? Hey, predictor. Who we got? Dean Ryan, number 149 for the Eels. Not quite as good as my brother, which still gets his washing done for him. But I can't complain too much. Corey Horsburgh, parallel for the Raiders. Driving force, James Fisher-Harris for the Panthers. Roosters parallel checklist. Kale Hero, Rising Stars for the Sharks. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbits. Can't remember last time she brought socks for me, but I did get some jocks that were intended for my brother and he didn't like them, so I got handed them. So I mean, yeah, I guess. Mainly shirts. Abby Church, women's NRL for the Eels. He's fussy. Yeah, I'm not. Adam Pompey, parallel for the Warriors. Yeah, I'm pretty easy. Power Hero, Joey Manu for the Roosters. Broncos parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Fanua Pole for the Tigers. Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Yep, wrong one. Women's NRL, Brittany Brealey-Anati for the Titans. Jaden Sewer, parallel for the Dragons. Number 16. She's better than the original Jeff, let's put it that way. Jacob Saifidi, parallel for the Knights. Pardon?
I said you might confuse it with that comment.
Am I confusing with that comment?
Better than the original.
Yeah. Jeff said, geez, she's a gem. I said, yep, better than the original. Zach Wolford, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Bunty Afoa, parallel for the Warriors. Ryan Pappenhausen, Power Heroes for the Storm.
Alright, one pick me up.
Thank you. Patrick Carrigan for the Broncos. We're on the back stretch now. Chelsea Leonarduzzi, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Taylor May, parallel for Panthers. Cleese Haas, Rising Stars for the Titans. Reece Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. Driving force, Avania Palit for the Titans. Amoli Olakau'atu, parallel for Manly. Club Heroes, Joseph Tapine for the Raiders. And Stafford Toa, parallel for the Tigers. And let's have a quick mouthful of this. Forwards and backs, Joseph Tapine for the Raiders. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Jacob Arthur, Rising Stars for the Eels. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Brian Kelly, parallel for the Titans. Forwards and backs, Selwyn Cobbo for the Broncos. Will Penasini, parallel for the Eels. Jaden Campbell, forwards and backs for the Titans. Tino, parallel for the Titans. Raymond Faitala Mariner, parallel for the Bulldogs. You know, the funny thing is, guys, I even practice Tino's name off when I'm not live. And I think I've only ever managed to get it out close to being right once. So I just refuse to say it. It's Big Tino from the Titans. Keely Davis, women's NRL for the Dragons. Regan Campbell Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Women's NRL Zahara Tamara for the Roosters. Nick Meaney, parallel for the Storm. Ronald Volkerman, Rising Stars for the Warriors. Dale Finucane, parallel for the Sharks. Kira Dibb, women's NRL for the Knights. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Ben Thomas for the Roosters. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. Driving force, Jake Trebojevic for Manly. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Driving force team for the Knights. Tavita Pengo Jr., parallel for the Bulldogs. Isaac Thompson, Rising Stars for the Rabbitohs. Jack DeBellin, parallel for the Dragons. Zach Fulton, season to remember for Manly. Sifa Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. 3 packets left for the box. Kimmy, front door. Rising Stars, Jamin Salmon for the Panthers. Jordan Rapana, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Alec McDonald for the Storm. Dylan Edwards, parallel for Panthers. It's all going on in the background here. Busy times. Tamika Upton, driving force for the Knights. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Alright, let's go. Another box. Definitely getting towards the end now, guys. We've got, this is our 5th last box. So we've got the 4 titanium hobby. Titanium normal. And then we have our titanium priority. Yes, busy's always good, Jeff. Busy's always good. Zach Lomax, forwards and backs for the Dragons. Jared Rara Hargraves, parallel for the Roosters. Doesn't always feel like it at the time, but once it's done and dusted and you look back, you go, yes, that was definitely a good thing. Quincy Dodd wins NRL for the Dragons. Jacob Carraz, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Trent Peebles for the Rabbitohs. Ben Hunt, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Zach Fulton for Manly. Regan Campbell-Gillard, parallel for the Eels. Sifa Talakai, season to remember for the Sharks. Anari Tawala, parallel for the Knights. Women's NRL, Jamie Chapman for the Broncos. Big Tino for the Titans. Driving Force, Tommy Turbo for Manly. Joseph Tapine, parallel for the Raiders. Rising Stars, Jesse Colquhoun for the Sharks. Jai Arrow, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, Simi Sasagi for the Knights. Jacob Saifiti, parallel for the Knights. Driving Force, Cameron Munster for the Storm. Jordan Arabana, parallel for the Raiders. Driving Force team for the Broncos. Cody Walker, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Rising Stars, James Schiller for the Raiders. Wade Egan, parallel for the Warriors. Season to remember, Taylor May for the Panthers. Dylan Edwards, parallel for the Panthers. Valentine Holmes, gold parallel for the Cowboys. Oh, nice low one, number 3. Tommy Dearden, parallel for the Cowboys. Season to remember, Selwyn Cobbo for the Broncos. Tony Staggs, parallel for the Broncos. What did we have earlier? Damien Ahern, number 33, scoring machines for the Cowboys. Panthers parallel checklist. Rising Stars, Sosefo Fafita for the Titans. Valentine Holmes, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Simona Torfa for the Eels. Tommy Turbo, parallel for Manly. Power Heroes Group A. Vanilla Pole, parallel for the Tigers. Sylvan Cobbo, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Philip Semi, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Declan Casey for the Bulldogs. Daly Cherry Evans, parallel for Manly. Power Heroes, Stephen Crichton for Panthers. Dane Laurie, parallel for the Tigers. Driving Force, Brittany Brealey Natty for the Titans. Ryan Madison, parallel for the Eels. Women's NRL, Stephanie Hancock for the Titans. Josh Curran, parallel for the Warriors. Dolphins, number 11. And Thomas Flegler, parallel for the Broncos. Grant Anderson, Rising Stars for the Storm. Lee Martin, parallel for Panthers. Forwards and backs, Wade Egan for the Warriors. Cameron Munster, parallel for the Storm. Freddie Lussick, Rising Stars for the Warriors. Sharks parallel checklist. Driving Force, Corey Oates for the Broncos. Nelson Asafa Solomona, parallel for the Storm. Keon Kolomatangi, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Harbour Heroes, Tavita Totola for the Rabbitohs. CSF Talakai, parallel for the Sharks. 5 packets left for, what are we up to? Box number 9, 10, 11, 12, yep. Number 9. Matthew Feagai, Rising Stars for the Dragons. And Roosters parallel checklist. Forwards and backs, Matt Burton for the Bulldogs. Jake Averillo, parallel for the Bulldogs. Tamika Upton, Women's NRL for the Knights. Andrew Pompey, Adam Pompey, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Tom Chester for the Cowboys, and Broncos parallel checklist. Isabel Kelly, Women's NRL for the Roosters. Jaden Sewer, parallel for the Dragons. And that's the end of another box. So we're definitely doing better time-wise than what we were yesterday. First one's always a bit slow when we had the album to start off with. So, happy days. Honestly felt a bit dead after yesterday's one. It'd been a while. We'd only done the 21 trades for Brett Horsnell the week before, I guess. So it wasn't that long. And I've been opening for the website, so Romy Tietzel, Authentic Initials. Oh, nice low one, number 7. For the Knights, Troy Page. Titans parallel checklist. They were quite nice earlier. Kira Wicks, Rising Stars for Manly. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Driving Force, Daly Cherry Evans for Manly. Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Women's NRL, Philomena Hennessy for the Eels. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Our heroes are Jack Whiten for the Raiders. And Toby Rudolph, parallel for the Sharks. Women's NRL, Taryn Aiken for the Broncos. Joey Manu, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Austin Diaz for the Tigers. Aaron Shoup, parallel for the Bulldogs. Driving Force, Ali Brigginshaw for the Broncos. Moses Sulai, parallel for the Dragons. Bradman Best, Power Heroes for the Knights. Nicholas Hines, parallel for the Sharks. Michael Molo, Rising Stars for the Dragons. Joseph Suwali, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Aaron Booth for the Titans. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Madison Bartlett for the Titans. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Club Heroes, Taylor May for the Panthers. Knight parallel checklist. Kimmy,
Yes.
Door, I think. Rising Stars, Sonny Luke for the Panthers. Jack Whiten parallel for the Raiders. Forwards and backs, Wade Egan for the Warriors. Cameron Murray parallel for the Rabbitohs. Women's NRL, Samantha Bremner for the Roosters. Bremner, sorry. Dallin Watine-Zelezniak parallel for the Warriors. Forwards and backs parallel, Joe Offengowie for the Tigers. Blake Laurie parallel for the Dragons. Driving force, Alexander Brimson for the Titans. Max King parallel for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Griffin Neem for the Cowboys. Adam Reynolds parallel for the Broncos. Jacob Saifiti, forwards and backs for the Knights. Raiders parallel checklist. Driving force, Jerome Hughes for the Storm. James Fisher-Harris parallel for Panthers. Driving force team for the Sharks. Murray Talagi parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Keezy Apps for the Dragons. Alex Johnston parallel for the Rabbits. Ruben Cotter parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Autumn Rain for the Knights. Morgan Harper parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Sean Russell for the Eels. Tigers parallel checklist. Season to remember, Mikhail Ravalawa for the Dragons. Mawaki Fotuaika parallel for the Titans. Trey Mooney, Rising Stars for the Raiders. Tohu Harris parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Josh Alwye, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Isaac Tago for Panthers. Brent Naden, parallel for the Tigers. 6th last packet for the box. Gold parallel, Billy Walters for the Broncos, number 49. Sean Lane, parallel for the Eels. Another one not in the match tonight. Him and Madison, both out. Rising Stars, Fletcher Baker for the Roosters. Justin Olam, parallel for the Storm. I'm looking forward to seeing Madison on the field. He looks like he's bulked up a bit over the preseason. See what he can do with a bit more size about him. Season to remember, Adam Reynolds for the Broncos. Kurt Capewell, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Leo Thompson for the Knights. David Clemmer, parallel for the Knights. Dolphins number 15. Azu Kapoa, parallel for the Tigers. Dean Mariner, Rising Stars for the Broncos. Dave Fafita, parallel for the Titans. Alright, so all in all, we have 3 boxes left to go. 2 Titanium and Priority. Let's get into them. Keep that over there. Our heroes, Adam Dewey for the Tigers. Dominic Young, parallel for the Knights. All right. Forwards and backs, Justin Olam for the Storm. Taylor May, parallel for the Panthers. Women's NRL, Elsie Albert for the Dragons. Reese Robson, parallel. Yeah, I've seen that actually. Parallel for the Cowboys. Curtis Morin, Rising Stars for the Bulldogs. Hamali Olaka'atu, parallel for Manly. Rising Stars, Jaden Hunt for the Dragons. Get in there. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Season to remember, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Stafford Toa, parallel for the Tigers. Driving force, Josh Curran for the Warriors. Brian Kelly, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Tolator Koala for Manly. Will Panasini, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Hayes Perham for the Eels. Stefano Utakamanu, parallel for the Tigers. Oh. Driving force, Isaiah Yeo for the Panthers. Alexander Brimson, parallel for Titans. Driving force team for the Roosters. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Terrell May for the Roosters. Storm, parallel checklist. Season to remember, Benin Trebojevic for Manly. Ronaldo Mulatalo, parallel for the Sharks. Aidan Tolman, season to remember for the Sharks. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. I actually want to see if Terrell May's correct. Otherwise, I'm messaging their dad, Karina Brown, women's NRL for the Titans, to let him know that he has a new son. Nick Meaney, parallel for the Storm. Dane Laurie, gold parallel for the Tigers, number 71. Odo Carr, parallel for the Bulldogs. Women's NRL, Amber Hall for the Broncos. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Raiders. Hey, who we got? Luke Hodder, number 53, Storm Predictor. Why do I get the feeling you managed to score one of them in last night's break too, Luke? Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Junior Tupou, Rising Stars for the Tigers. Raymond Faitala Mariner, parallel for the Bulldogs. Rikea Horn, Women's NRL for the Eels. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. Nope, I was right the first time. Why does that look like I got Roosters there? No, it's not. Power Heroes, Big Tino for the Titans. Chris Randall, parallel for the Knights. Oh, get open. Dolphins, number 8. Just a reminder, Dale Finucane, parallel for the Sharks. You do need to collect all 18 of the Dolphins cards to redeem. You cannot redeem them individually, and I'm pretty sure it's 128 sets off the top of my head. 117 is what is written on the back. Rising Stars, Lindsay Smith for the Panthers. Matthew Tomoko, parallel for the Raiders. If we're lucky enough to not hit any doubles, the lucky winner of the Dolphins cards, I think it's 14 or 15 cards if there's no doubles. Driving forwards, Keely Davis for the Dragons. So he's definitely a good start to putting that set together. Thomas Burgess for the Rabbitohs. And personally, if you're a true collector, it's something that most people should want in their set, even if it's not one of their prized sets they have. They should be sitting in the back of the cupboard somewhere. Reece Robson, forwards and backs for the Cowboys. Bunty Afoa, parallel for the Warriors. Rising Stars, Jeremiah Nanai for the Cowboys. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Isaiah Tass for the Rabbitohs. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Cade Dykes, Rising Stars for the Sharks, a Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Driving Force, Jaden Brayley for the Knights. Edward Cossey, parallel for the Warriors. George Tafua, retirements for Manly. Eels, parallel checklist. Club Heroes, Sean Lane for the Eels. Payne Huss, parallel for the Broncos. Tyron Wishart, Rising Stars for the Storm. And Nathan Cleary, parallel for Panthers. Forwards and backs, Alex Johnston for the Rabbitohs. Chad Townsend, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Romy Titzel for the Knights. Josh King, parallel for Storm. Tanila Otakolo, Rising Stars for the Warriors. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. And last packet for the box. Women's NRL, Jessica Surgis. Oh no. Jessica Surgis for the Roosters. And a Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. So we are now up to the last box of the case, with the priority box to follow after this one. God, it really made a mess today's one. Retirement, Sasoa Sua Aso Su for the night. Bulldogs, Adokar Parallel. Jamin Salmon, Rising Stars for Panthers. Corey Horsburgh, Parallel for the Raiders. Romy Titzel, Women's NRL for the Knights. Cody Ramsey, Parallel for the Dragons. Oh, get back in there. Dolphins team. Bradman Best, Parallel for the Knights. Rising Stars, Christian Mapalangi for the Knights. Dominic Young, Parallel for the Knights. Season to remember, Dominic Young for the Knights. Nick Kotrick, Parallel for the Raiders. Starting to feel like I was on repeat. Knights. Karina Brown, Women's NRL for the Titans. And Jack DeBellin, Parallel for the Dragons. Gold Parallel, Big Tino, number 38. There you go, Lee Marshall. Other than that, Rabbitohs Parallel Checklist. Rising Stars, Zach Wolford for the Raiders. Edward Cossey, Parallel for the Warriors. Fanua Pole, Rising Stars for the Tigers. And Tavita Pengai Jr. for the Bulldogs. Adam Dewey, Power Heroes for the Tigers. Payne Haas, Parallel for the Broncos. Amber Hall, Women's NRL for the Broncos. Nathan Cleary, Parallel for Panthers. Cleese Haas, Rising Stars for the Titans. Chad Townsend, Parallel for the Cowboys. Driving Force, Ruben Cotter for the Cowboys. Ruben Garrick, Parallel for Manly. Driving Force, Jack Whiten for the Raiders. Sam Walker, parallel for the Roosters. Club Heroes, Holly Wheeler for the Dragons. Stefano Utokumanu, parallel for the Tigers. Nick Kotrick, forwards and backs for the Raiders. Brian Kelly, parallel for the Titans. Rising Stars, Ezra Mam for the Broncos. Alexander Brimson at parallel for the Titans. Forward, Blake Brayley for the Sharks. Dylan Brown, parallel for the Eels. Women's NRL, Jessica Surgis for the Roosters. And Storm NRL Checklist. Season 2, remember, Andrew McCulloch for the Dragons. Dale Finucane, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Ronald Volkman for the Warriors. Renato Militalo, parallel for the Sharks. Driving Force, Tiana Penatani for the Eels. Saitili Tupanua, parallel for the Roosters. Driving Force Team for the Dragons. Raymond Faitala Mariner for the Bulldogs. Rising Stars, Isaac Thompson for the Rabbitohs. Jack Bird, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Ben Thomas for the Roosters. Nick Meaney, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, James Tarmo for the Tigers. Chris Randall, parallel for the Knights. Black Authentics. Number 42 for the Broncos, Herbie Farnworth. Michael Duff, congratulations. Raiders, Matthew Tomoko for parallels. Rising Stars, Kyle Iro for the Sharks. Thomas Burgess, parallel for the Rabbitohs. Women's NRL, Rakia Horn for the Eels. Bunty Afoa, parallel for the Warriors. Women's NRL, Elsie Albert for the Dragons. Will Penasini, parallel for the Eels. Power Heroes, Big Tino for the Titans. Patrick Carrigan, parallel for the Broncos. Rising Stars, Alec McDonald for the Storm. Taylor May, parallel for Panthers. Big Tino, a driving force for the Titans, and Reese Robson, parallel for the Cowboys. 2 packets left for the last box of the case. Jacob Saifiti, forwards and backs for the Knights. Molly Olika R2, parallel for Manly. And on a different note, we've been averaging about 10 minutes for the last couple of boxes. Jacob Arthur, Rising Stars for the Eels. Nope. Stafford Toa, parallel for the Tigers. I'm pretty happy with even roughly 10 minutes per box, to be honest. Obviously, Elite, we can do a bit better than that. They're a little bit smaller. But 10 minutes a box for traders, yeah, I'm happy with that. Now, only if I can keep that average for a full break will be right. If I can do that for a full break, well, what's that? Under 2.5 hours. Depending on how long the starters take us. I think they've been taking us about half an hour. So we've got to try and improve that as well. We'll see how we go. Alright. Muritalagi, parallel for the Cowboys. And this is our priority box, ladies and gentlemen. Caitlin Johnston, women's NRL for the Knights. Josh Alawai, parallel for Manly. So we have our priority hits in this one. Rising Stars, Sean Russell for the Eels. Brent Naden, parallel for Tigers. I can't even remember who it was that had Dragons yesterday, but our priority box brought a second Dragons predictor. Tolator Koala for Manly. Season to remember. Titans parallel checklist. Gold parallel for the Sharks. Ronaldo Molitalo, number 57. Mitchell Moses, parallel for the Eels. Rising Stars, Fletcher Baker for the Roosters. Jerome Hughes, parallel for Storm. Season to remember, Angus Crichton for the Roosters. Payne Haas, parallel for the Broncos. Driving force, Taryn Aiken for the Broncos. Nathan Cleary, parallel for the Panthers. Rising Stars, Aaron Booth for the Titans. Chad Townsend, parallel for the Cowboys. Women's NRL, Azara Canfield for the Titans. Ruben Garrick, parallel for Manly. Number 16 for the Dolphins, Stefano Utokumanu, parallel for the Tigers. Rising Stars, Dean Mariner for the Broncos. Alexander Brimson, parallel for the Titans. Excuse me. Driving Force, Addo Carr for the Bulldogs. Addo Carr, parallel for the Bulldogs. Our first priority hit, number 18 for Justin Olam, forwards and backs. Cody Ramsey, parallel for the Dragons. Rising Stars, Leo Thompson for the Knights. Dominic Young, parallel for the Knights. Forwards and backs, Mitchell Moses for the Eels. Nick Kotrick, parallel for the Raiders. Women's NRL, Emma Tony Gutto for the Dragons. Rabbitohs parallel checklist. Rising Stars, KO Weeks for Manly. Eels parallel checklist. Women's NRL, Vanessa Foliaki for the Eels. Josh King, parallel for the Storm. Power Heroes, Damien Cook for the Rabbitohs. William Kennedy, parallel for the Sharks. Rising Stars, Michael Molo for the Dragons. Angus Crichton, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Jacob Carraz for the Bulldogs. Jake Trbojevic, parallel for Manly. Season to remember, Damien Cook for the Rabbitohs. Asua Kapoa, parallel for the Tigers. Initials Authentic, Tasman Gray for the Titans, number 24. David Fafita, parallel for the Titans. Griffin Neem, Rising Stars for the Cowboys. Kurt Capewell, parallel for the Broncos. Broncos slot definitely looking pretty full. Driving Force, Kennedy Sherrington for the Eels. And Jerome Luai, parallel for Panthers. Our team priority is number 5 for the Titans. I'm sure Lee will be happy with that one. Scott Drinkwater, parallel for the Cowboys. Rising Stars, Trey Mooney for the Raiders. Edward Cossey, parallel for the Warriors. Club Heroes, number 5, Big Tino for the Titans. So Titans taking out 2 of the priority hits. David Clemmer for the Knights. Rising Stars, Sonny Luke for the Panthers. Raiders parallel checklist. Hamoli Olaka'atu, forwards and backs for Manly. Alex Johnston, parallel for the Rabbitohs. 5th last packet, guys. Destiny Brill, women's NRL for the Roosters. Tohu Harris, parallel for the Warriors. Power Heroes, Chad Townsend for the Cowboys. Nicholas Hines, parallel for the Sharks. Women's NRL, Ali Brigginshaw for the Broncos. Joseph Suwali, parallel for the Roosters. Rising Stars, Austin Diaz for the Tigers. And Max King, parallel for the Bulldogs. Last packet. Here we go. Driving Force, Damien Cook for the Rabbitohs. And Blake Laurie, parallel for the Dragons. Alright, so we have 4 randomizations to do. We have the Dolphins, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let me quickly... We've got double 16. So 1 double in amongst all them guys, which is 15. Oh no, double 16, sorry. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So 14 in total because you got the 1 double, and which means you need 4 more to complete that set. Didn't realise how bad that shine is there. Sorry, give me 2 seconds, guys. We'll try and fix this now. No. I'm not sure I was doing any good with that. We'll leave that for another time. Alright, this is what we're doing. This is why I was playing around with that. So, to start off with, we are all teams, all spots for the Dolphins cards. So all 16 are in there ready to go. Number 1, number 2, and lucky last, number 3. Gareth Lawson with the Raiders taking home the Dolphins cards. Alright, we'll reset that. We will get the first 8 teams. So we've got 2 of these to do. Number 2 and lucky last number 3, Gareth Lawson again with the Raiders. We'll reset it. Number 1, number 2, and a lucky last number 3. No way. Well, winner is Gareth Lawson. Not much I can do about that, but okay. Lucky Gareth Lawson, winning 3 of those randomizations in a row. Yeah. Alright, number 1, Gareth Lawson isn't in this one. Number 2, and lucky last, number 3, Warriors, Rachel Whiteside taking home the Group B. Alright guys, that's it. That's all. Hope you had a ball.